People think of lettuce wraps as like a diet food. Wait, what is it? Okay. People think of lettuce wraps as a diet food, and that might be the case for some people. That doesn't mean it needs to be boring. Oh, how's there stuff on me already? Hi, I'm Isabel from Houston, the melting pot of Texas, and I'm here to cheat your way through your favorite Asian recipes. Today we are making the unofficial national dish of Laos. It's found in a lot of your favorite Thai restaurants. It was probably one of the first Thai dishes I tried a really, really long time ago. Growing up, I pronounced it Larb. You'll see it as L-A-R-B. Apparently that's wrong. I've been corrected. So it's lap or lab. It's a mixture of minced pork, all these super fresh herbs. Today we have some mint and cilantro, some green onions, some shallots. It's so fast, but it's got all those like balanced flavors of your favorite like Thai dishes. We're gonna throw in some lime, and the ingredient that makes it super, super special is this right here. It's rice right now, but we're gonna transform it into toasted rice powder. You can actually find it pre-made in some Asian stores. Don't do that. It's super easy to make your own. And all you have to do is put it in a dry skillet. It's on high heat. And you'll start to smell that rice really become fragrant. You'll watch out for the color change. You don't want it to look burnt, because then it is burnt. You want that color to gradually change, turn golden. Once it hits that like really pretty golden color, then it's ready to take off the heat. We couldn't find any Thai chilies, but we're in Texas, so we've got a habanero today. Just one of your favorite chili peppers. And we're gonna stir fry a lot of this together. These are just gonna be thrown in fresh, and it's just a really, really great like lettuce wrap. When you think lettuce wrap, ignore all that, okay? This is a lettuce wrap, but it's not your typical Asian lettuce wrap from P.F. Chang's. It's gonna be much better, I promise. Okay, so we're gonna go for the shallots. It's really just a lot of slicing and dicing and then mixing everything together. And if you can't find shallots, red onion works too. Just slice it really, really thin. See, it's starting to change color a little bit. Okay, so this is when you multitask. You've got your rice toasting on the stove, you're prepping your fresh ingredients. When everything is prepped at the same time simultaneously, it's ready to be thrown in together, and it's a super fast meal. And the great thing about this dish is you can serve it over rice. You can eat it out of lettuce wraps. It's pretty versatile, kind of ups your stir fry game. You know, everyone does a weeknight stir fry, but this changes that a little bit. It freshens things up. It introduces some flavors you might not be used to. I have some Thai and Laos friends, and it's kind of an inside joke between cultures to like argue about where this dish originated from. I'm staying out of it because I'm Filipino. I'm just gonna stick to enjoying it. Okay, now we're gonna chop up our green onions. Just lots of like super fresh flavors, and they really come together in the end. I'm actually just gonna use the green parts because we've got that punch of like oniony flavor from the shallots already. Don't forget to check on your rice. The great thing about this recipe is that you get to use a lot of different herbs. Go to the farmer's market. I really love Urban Harvest in Houston. See what's fresh, see what they have right now. And this dish is very, very forgiving, so you can kind of just toss in like what sounds good that week. Okay, so let's chop this up. Big sister tip, safety is key. You're always gonna wanna bend your fingers when you're chopping things, not just to protect yourself, but also in the long run, when you're chopping like this and really going in it, you're hurting your hand. The best tip, pinch right here. So you've got a good like center of gravity. So that way when you're like wobbling and cooking, you have really good control right in the middle. If you are doing this right on top, that means your knife is not sharp enough. Learn that too. One of the most iconic flavors in Laos cooking is lime. It just brings everything to life. Just slice it right down the middle so we can squeeze it later on. Okay, we're gonna dice our pepper up. And this is where you get to use your discretion. How spicy do you want it? I'm just gonna use a little bit of this. We're gonna slice this nice and thin because it's going in fresh. I know I'm a little nervous. For those of you who are not into the heat, just use a different pepper. You can throw in the green parts of a jalapeno instead. You can do a Thai chili if you can handle that. Customize it to whatever you're feeling. We're just gonna use that much today. Maybe not even. Today we are using pork, and I think that's what's traditionally used, but you can also opt for chicken or turkey. The only thing with those two is they tend to hold a lot more moisture, so you would have to stir fry that a little bit longer and cook that off. Pork is nice and fatty, so you get a little bit more crisp to it. So my shirt says A-Leaf. I'm very proud to be from A-Leaf. A-Leaf is like a suburb of Houston. And just like there's so many stories that come out of A-Leaf and so much really good food. So it's cool to just like take a little piece of that with me. So I know we're talking lettuce wraps, and that's how I started eating this dish. I've been ordering this dish for many years. And I clearly remember only it being served to me with lettuce. So one time at this really great like Laos Northern Thai restaurant, it came out with cabbage. And I'm like, oh, that's super weird. But I was like, dude, these are lettuce wraps. Like, where is my lettuce? And he brought out some lettuce, but he also took the time to explain that it's traditionally eaten with cabbage. So we're gonna do a little bit of both today. Okay, so once your rice has a little bit of color, we're looking for like a light golden toasty color, and you really smell the that toastiness come out of the rice too. We are just gonna blitz it up. I think traditionally it's done in a mortar and pestle. We're not using that today. And you want it to be a really fine powder. Doing it. So once that's a fine powder, just put it aside for now. We're gonna combine it with the rest of the ingredients later. And what this does, it just adds a really cool toastiness to the dish. You don't feel it. You don't know that there's rice in there, but the flavor is really, really cool. So once your pan is really, really hot, you add just a bit of oil to coat it. There we go. And we add our pork. And what you want to do, push it down to where you have a lot of surface area, because that means that you have more surface area to brown. Okay, so just a little bit of salt. Okay. And really, you're just wanting to brown this until you've got little toasty golden pieces like this. And at this point, if you're using something other than pork, like ground chicken or ground turkey, you're gonna get a lot of liquid. We get a little bit of that with the pork. We wanna cook that off, so cook it. This is crucial. Okay, so when that pork is cooked, take it off the heat. Now's the fun part, you just assemble everything. Okay, so you take your pork, put it in this guy here. So you've got a little bit of color on there. You don't want to go too far because you don't want it to be dry either. There's like Thai and Laos cooking philosophy that every dish needs to be balanced. So you've got like your savory, you have a little bit of sweet, so we're gonna put some sugar in there too. Not too much. It's not a sweet dish. It just kind of changes the flavors, develops them a little bit more. We have some fish sauce here, about a tablespoon. And now we just add everything together. So we've got our mint. Mint is one of my favorite things to put in this. I think it just really brightens everything up, and you just tear it up. It smells good. Okay, it smells great. The reason I'm ripping them is so you can release those oils and get more of those flavors. There we go. Same with our cilantro. Just go to town, rip it up. And then you add everything else that you chopped up earlier. Your green onions, your shallots, your habanero or your chili pepper, whatever chili you're using, go for it. And I like mine super limey, use half. I like to use the whole thing. Sometimes I go for 2. Do we have another lime by any chance? No, we'll just keep it, never mind. And then my favorite part, that toasted rice flour. About a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. And the heat from the pork is actually gonna help all those flavors develop even more. So that's why you wanna put it in while it's still warm. Oh my God, that smells so good. I like a lot of it. And you just toss everything together. Got so many flavors and so many colors. It's definitely a favorite of mine. A reoccurring theme in a lot of Asian cooking is preparing each element by itself. And then at the end, it comes together for this beautiful end product. We have the cold veggies and the cold herbs and stuff like that. And then we have the warm pork, and they just come together, and those flavors just continue to develop. All right, so this is done. You've got your lettuce leaves for those who are lettuce wrap aficionados. And I like to use a really leafy, like soft lettuce, because then you can kind of fold it and, you know, make your perfect bite. So this is butter lettuce. And then of course, our cabbage leaves. And actually it's now my preferred way of eating larb, because it gives you an extra little crunch. And then each of these little scoops is like a spoon. All right, so let's make our perfect bite. I've got my cabbage. Again, I learned. Grab a little bit of everything. You just go for it. That toasty rice, the savory pork, you got that fresh onion, fresh shallot, and my favorite part, the lime. So good. So there you go. There is your Thai/Laos larb. So like and subscribe for more Asian food hacks and cheats.